What's up, everyone? About to give you my top stocks going into this trading week. Like always, we'll talk price action, technicals, along with fundamentals. This is just my opinion. It isn't financial advice, so please do your own research at D&D. This week, I'll be going over Barclays, Deutsche Bank, Ethereum, Btbt, Fisker, and BBIG in that order. So if you want to skip around the video to the stocks you own, totally feel free to do that. So starting off, just general market talk here. Looking at the 10-year note, we actually broke out of that 1.4 resistance level that we've had that we've struggled time and time again to break out. So this leads me to believe that rates are going higher, and if you throw the technicals away, it actually makes a lot of sense if you consider what's happening fundamentally around the world. So Norway hiked rates last week, and the ECB also started tapering asset purchases and also signaled a rate hike probably later this year. As well, the United States, the Federal Reserve of the United States here signaled that we could start tapering assets, cutting off asset purchases probably by November, or at least before this year's over. So what does that mean? It means that the central banks around the world are going to stop buying risk-free treasuries. What will that do to the treasury market? That will raise interest rates in the treasury market. And how will that affect the stock market? Value stocks will get a bump from that. And a lot of pre-revenue or pre-profit companies will be hurt by that because they have to actually discount their cash flow and the risk-free rate. The US 10-year rate is a big factor in that. So it's really important what this 10-year does. It really determines what sectors actually win in the market. So it's very important, and I do think it goes higher, which is why I really like financials going into the second half of the year. I think we already saw that run from energy. I really think financials is the next space of interest for me, and that's why for my top three this week, Barclays and Deutsche Bank are both in that. So big fan of financials, especially foreign financials. They really haven't ran like domestic banks here in the US have. So let's jump right into a chart. So looking at Barclays here, just fundamentally before I go into the technicals, Barclays actually is trading at 0.5 price to book, and is actually trading under a 7 times PE, which is very good. They have a 1.6% dividend, and they have a staggering $167 of cash per share. So that means they're holding way more cash on their balance sheet than the company is even worth, making it a extremely safe play to get into. And I think it will be one of those names that really run once we get a significant bump in interest rates, obviously as asset purchases are tapered off, as I talked about in the beginning of this video. So I really like Barclays here. And looking at the technicals, you can see we've held this resistance line multiple times, going back to October of last year. 1, 2, I see 3, 4. There's four different touch points here. When I had originally started talking about Barclays, it was right when we were touching this resistance line. So that was kind of our initial reason for getting in, was it was a good time technically, and I like the fundamentals of a company. I still think that's true now, as we've seen the 10-year note rise. So as you can see here, MACD switching from bearish to bullish as well. It's also another short-term indicator I like to follow, and could help us determine if there is more upside to the upside for the stock in the short term, and I believe there is. So very bullish on Barclays. I own a lot of options on this. I don't own stock though, because the options are pretty cheap, which is I think it was about 25 IV, 30 IV, depending on what expiry you're at, which is pretty low for this market. Okay. So let's talk about Deutsche Bank. So a little bit about the fundamentals before I jump into the technicals. Deutsche Bank's trading under 10 times PE and a 0.39 price to book. And they're also, there's no dividend on this, but I expect buybacks as we go into this next year, I remember that the news story coming out. They're most likely going to be doing some buybacks into the end of this year, which should obviously help raise the stock as the company's going to be buying its own stock. So also it's worth noting that Deutsche Bank has $113 per share in cash. Just like Barclays, they're a very safe play because they have so much money in cash. They have more cash than the company's even worth, which just makes it a very safe play. And I really think, once rates rise, they'll be able to put that money to work in the form of lending and loans, and that all needs that all is more profitable once rates rise because they're able to lend at higher rates. So that's kind of why that relationship is so strong with interest rates and bank earnings. That's why when interest rates are up, that's why you always see banks up as well. Okay, so Deutsche Bank, not as pretty as a chart as Barclays, but I do think this $12 level is firm support as we bounced off at 1, 2, failed over here, so 3, 4 times. We bounced off this $12 level. I do think, obviously, when I initially alerted about Deutsche Bank, it's probably around here coming off this, and I thought we would move higher, which we did. Unfortunately, we dropped over last 2 weeks because of the sell-off. But now we're seeing that price action stabilize, and we're seeing Deutsche Bank confirm this $12 level as support. And now that we've confirmed this level as support, I think we move up to the top line of resistance in this current trend to probably around 16. So I do think we break out of this trading range over the next couple months as rates rise. So my official price target for Deutsche Bank is $16, and I think we hit it probably by the end of the year, as that's when I think we could see a pretty high 10-year treasury level. So I am bullish Deutsche Bank. All right, looking at Ethereum here. So you guys know my opinion on Ethereum, very bullish. DeFi, NFTs, 2/3 of stablecoins, all need the Ethereum blockchain to exist. Smart contracts. I love the potential of that technology. And if you just do a quick comparison to Bitcoin is really their blockchain. It isn't as smart as Ethereum. It doesn't have all the same functionalities as Ethereum. Also, a big difference is proof of work and proof of stake. Proof of work being Bitcoin's validation system, and proof of stake being Ethereum's validation system that they're switching to by the end of this year. So that will cut energy costs down by 99%. It will also make the next validator be chosen in a lot more of a fair manner. So if you own 1% of Ethereum and you stake that away to validate transactions and get a fee for that, you would actually have a 1% chance of validating the next transaction. The way it works on Bitcoin's proof of work system is whoever can validate the next transaction faster, they get the next block. They get to validate the next block on the blockchain. So what does that mean? That means when we move to Ethereum's proof of stake system, there'll be a lot more miners in the system because it will be a lot of it's more of a fair way to determine it rather than Bitcoin system where all the rich companies that can validate at super high speeds win. With Ethereum, it's more of an equitable division of those fees. So what will it do for Ethereum? It will drive gas fees down because there will be more validators on their system. So that's kind of my general fundamental analysis on Ethereum. And if I had to give it a long-term price target, I would kind of base it off of the global banking and audit system, which brings in about $3 trillion a year. And let's say Ethereum could capture just 1% of that market share. Ethereum would be trading around $40,000 a coin. So that kind of just shows you the potential of this technology. Right now, looking at the technicals, I do think probably a $5,000 Ethereum makes more sense. I really do think Ethereum is the most functionally useful crypto coin in this market right now, because at the end of the day, DeFi, NFTs, 2/3 of stablecoins need to exist, and there aren't many coins out there that are dependent on other coins. Ethereum really is the one and only. So I think it's the most functionally useful crypto out there. Therefore, I'm very bullish. And just talking technical here, we've bounced consistently off this $2,900 level. I mean, we'll drop below it for a day and then bounce back up. I mean, we've shown that on the 26th. We've shown that on the 21st. We've shown that on the 24th. So 4 separate times in the past week, we've dropped below this 2,900 level, and it acts as support. So I think we'll continue to use that level for support. All right, move on to Btbt. So it looks like right here, once we had 4 red candles under this $9 support level, that we were heading lower, but we actually ended up confirming this $9 level as support, and we actually didn't fall below that. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Btbt has some firm buying support, and it kind of makes sense if you think about the fundamentals of Btbt. So this company was a Chinese miner. They're based in New York, so don't be worried about the Chinese regulation. But a couple months back, once China said, we're not giving any more energy to these Bitcoin miners, what did Btbt do? They had some mining capacity in the US, but the majority of it was in China. So what are they in the process of doing over these past couple months? Sending their mining equipment from China to the US. So in that process, over this last quarter, their losses were obviously increased because they didn't have a significant portion of their mining capacity online. But now that mining capacity has been shipped to the US and is now online, I really expect over these next couple of quarters for them to really outperform that EPS number. And I think that will lead to higher prices, higher stock prices for Btbt just fundamentally. And looking at the technicals here, so as I said before, this $9 level is firm support. We bounced off it multiple times in the past couple like 6 months or so. So I do think Btbt holds this $9 level and trades up to the top line of resistance to about 16, probably by the end of the year. I think I don't own any Bitcoin. I'd rather really allocate all my cryptocurrency money to Ethereum because I really like it a lot more. But I do think Bitcoin gets dragged up by the entire sector. I think the crypto space is a solid space. Obviously, we had China this week say that crypto transactions are actually banned in their country. Not a huge surprise, as they have really been signaling that type of rhetoric for months now. But it's definitely not a good thing for the crypto sector. But at the end of the day, this is too strong and fundamentally useful of a sector to just be thrown out by any one country. I mean, we've seen other countries like El Salvador embrace that. So I don't think it's over for Ethereum or the crypto sector in total at all. So very bullish Btbt. I think we can go to 16 or 15 in the next couple months. All right, let's talk about Fisker. So Fisker has a great long-term plan for production of their vehicles. They already have a deal to outsource that production to another firm called Magna, and that firm will then actually do the EV production. And what this does is it really lets Fisker operate on an asset-light model, which because they're outsourcing that production, they're able to actually save a lot on costs. So if you don't build your own facility, you don't actually have to pay for your own facility, which helps you bring down costs and helps that bottom line a lot for the company. So I think that's a very bullish long-term tailwind for the company. Also, the infrastructure deal is still here. It's old. I'm sick of saying it, but it's still on the cusp. And, there is a deadline by the end of this month. Does it stand? No one really knows. But there is a good chance that the infrastructure bill could get rushed and passed over the next couple weeks, next week or two. So what that would do was it would really pump up all these EV stocks, Proterra, Fisker, Tesla, all those names, and that would really help the underlying sector and the general adoption of EVs, as over 7 billion is allocated in that plan for EV public transport, which could really help the sector, and Proterra specifically, if you know that name. But okay, so looking at the technicals of Fisker, this 1450 level has been firm resistance over the past 2 months. We've came up to this level and bounced lower 1, 2, 3 separate times over the past 2 months. That's a firm resistance level. But now that we've actually had 2 candles close above this level, I think that this resistance level has now been confirmed as new support, and it will act as such. It will act as a bottom for the stock over the next couple of weeks. So I'm very bullish on Fisker. As I said, I like it long term, and technically it looks like a pretty good time to get in, as 2 candles have been closed above this support level. And the last time we were able to get that was back in early June. We had 2 candles confirm this support level, and what happened? We rode a wave all the way up to $21. So I think we get a similar move from Fisker here. I don't know if it'll be that fast like it was last time, but I do believe we move up to $20 on Fisker before year's end. And if the infrastructure bill takes place, I think whenever that takes place, we'll probably see that pop pretty quick. All right, let's talk about BBIG. So this has some NFT exposure. They own 80% of Lomoff. But I want to talk more about the technicals of this name. When we had initially started talking about BBIG, it was trading around this level. But what I had seen was a breakout and confirmation of this $6 level, and so that just shows you that the $6 support level is pretty strong, and we're trading right on that support level right now. We actually came down below it, and we were able to close the day actually above it. So that's pretty bullish price action, and I do think over the next 2 weeks we see BBIG head higher off of this level. As I said numerous times, I like the stock long term. Excuse me, but BBIG I think holds this $6 level, moves up to about 9 in the short term. That was that initial move we had called earlier, earlier in the month. We had moved from 6 to 9. That was a call we were on. Shout out to the Discord if you were able to get on that. But yeah, so bullish BBIG. I think we hold this $6 level. Should be a good week or two for the stock here. All right, so that's where I'll end the video today. Appreciate if you watched the video all the way through. If you liked it, if you could leave a like and subscribe below, that would really help the channel out. We're a pretty small channel. And also, if you're interested in getting my top stocks and my exit points, my entry points, all that good stuff, my crypto alerts, my option alerts, join the Discord, which is linked below, and you'll receive those alerts. And I give my weekly updates for free for everyone too. So if that's all you want, if you're not interested in paid alerts, no worries. Just click the link below. That being said, I hope everyone has a good week. Stay informed. Good luck trading. Have a good week. Peace.